And it says we are now live on my screen. So Gerald, it's 5:15 and we have quorum.
We'll, I guess, call the meeting to order, and I think the first thing we do is a roll call.
Sure. Mark Barnes, I don't see him on the list. Maybe he'll join us a little later. Kim Dietzler.
Here.
Aaron Ginsberg.
Here.
Gerald Lander.
Here.
Kathleen Simpson. Here. And Cindy Zerwis here.
Yes, as several of you know, Helen is ill and Joan will be unable to make it tonight.
And also Latrice.
Yeah, Latrice probably will not join us.
We should have all got a copy of the minutes of the November meeting. Page 4 of the agenda. The comments, additions.
Excuse me, Gerald, your sound is very underwater sounding.
I don't know that I can do anything about it, but
I don't know where the microphone is.
it should be right the same place it was for the last two meetings. So that's the best I can do right now.
Hello, Mr. Clay.
Hello.
Hello, Stacey.
May I make a motion that we approve the minutes from our November meeting?
Is there a second? Okay.
I second.
Do we have to have a roll call for that?
Yeah, I think we have in the past.
Okay. You want
Okay, Kim Dietzler,
Aye.
Aaron Ginsberg,
Aye.
Gerald Lander.
Aye.
I didn't hear him.
to? Yes.
Kathleen Simpson. Aye. And Cindy Zerwis, aye.
Gerald, if I can say on the agenda tonight, we had talked about tabling the invoice from RG Ross on the advice for bond architects because the windows are still leaking. And then we were informed by BOKF that we could table the revised agenda item, the money market sweep selection from BOKF, that we can table that one as well. So that just leaves us with two action items. Also, I wanted to mention on the advice of the MPLD attorney, I had moved the public comment to the last item on the agenda, if that's okay with the board. They had mentioned that it keeps the meeting going a little more quickly that way. There's been a lot of public comments and a lot of library board meetings lately, so that's something they advise itself to do.
Any correspondence?
Other than the sunshine law
Okay.
request, none of note.
Okay. I guess the next, Mr. Clay, do you have some information for us?
Can I just say, Mr. Clay, to thank you and Council Member Klein for the resolution that the city passed. I was indisposed during that period of time, and then I have not yet expressed my thanks for that. And I really do appreciate you and Council Member stepping forward and doing that.
Absolutely happy to do it. Councilmember Klein did the heavy lifting in addition to city staff, of course, who prepares everything. But yeah, the council is 100, 110. Pick your percentage over 100 in support of the resolution and your advocacy and the state library organization advocacy and our local library organization's advocacy. So absolutely. Wanted to begin by following up. We still, someone asked about the percentage of UCityans hired by Costco. We're still not gotten that information yet. To be candid, I'm not entirely sure what the holdup is, but I will continue to bird dog that and make sure that we follow up with the question from the library board member and other citizens who I'm sure are curious. So I apologize, I don't have a follow up today, but I will make sure that I get one to you, and as soon as I get the information, I'll transmit it via email to Patrick to share with everyone. So I do apologize for that. In terms of the council, we did have a meeting on Monday, which typically happens the Monday before the Wednesday library board meetings. Shorter meeting, not a whole lot of exciting stuff taking place. One thing that I will bring up, which will, well, I'll bring up two things. One is you may be aware Deerbergs, the developer is in conversation with them about inhabiting the south side and being an anchor there. We're working through the financials and some other things related to that. So certainly that will be made public once we get into the final stages of what that deal looks like. We have another anchor on the eastern end of the north side. Can't reveal that retailer, but it is one you are all familiar with. I'll leave it at that. One thing that the council did take up, and we heard citizen comment about, was the legalization of recreational cannabis, marijuana. We have within our jurisdiction, and certainly I'm most familiar with the location on Olive, Starbuds on Olive is a medical dispensary. It is set up that way. We approved it that way. Not surprisingly, the owners of that facility and many others were also doing advocacy work for Amendment 3, which is the amendment that allowed for the legalization of recreational cannabis. So they weren't surprised when it happened, and so they are looking for the council to make some provisions to allow the sale of recreational cannabis. Starbuds, again on Olive, I'm most familiar with that establishment because it's in the third ward. It's set up as a dispensary. Those of you who are perhaps not versed in the different kinds of cannabis dispensary establishments, you can have a walk up. So essentially you go in, I'm sorry, did I cut out there for a moment? Okay. So you have different kinds of cannabis establishments. The dispensary model that most of us are familiar with, you go in, you procure your cannabis and you leave. That is what Starbud is set up to do. And even in a recreational context, the council would need to amend the ordinance that allowed for medicinal. We need to add a recreational to that. So there's work that the council needs to do at a policy level, but at a practical level, they would essentially remain the same, that you would go in, you would receive your cannabis either for medicinal or recreational purposes and leave. There are such a thing, I've recently found out, cannabis lounges, which operate as a bar might. Not sure where the council is on that idea. But anyway, so this is something that is legal now. The state is going through the rulemaking process, with this being recreational cannabis, is going through the rulemaking process. But technically the law went into effect last Thursday. So there are lots of implications for the city, for beyond just when and how it's allowed, but in terms of employment and all kinds of other things that we'll need to deal with at a policy level. So this has, you know, the shadow this cast is rather significant. So I've said quite a bit, so let me pause and see if the board has any questions.
Well, what is the city's biggest concern about this, the fact that they're coming up with the rules after it goes into effect?
Well, so the law is, as I understand it, I don't operate at the state level. As I understand it, it's technically in effect, but if there's no rules, nobody's actually doing anything with it yet. And the other thing is individual municipalities, most of them filed ordinances to allow for medicinal cannabis. I don't think anybody who has it actually put in recreational. Maybe the city did, but none of us smaller municipalities did. So all the municipalities that have it are having to go through this ordinance amendment process. And well, as you know, anything with government takes time. So nobody's going to be ready right away to do anything with this. So we'll, by the time UCity gets its act together and get things in place, I assure you, other things will be in place.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you.
Mhm.
Patrick, you have a librarian's report?
Yes, sir. We have the consent agenda, which consists of everything up to the discussion items. If there's nothing that the board would like to pull out of that, I would suggest, just passing the consent agenda, and then we can move on to the discussion items.
I have a couple of quick questions.
Yes, ma'am.
On page 9 in the packet, there was a mention that Ruthie went to participated in a seminar about helping the homeless at libraries. We're wondering what she got out of that our library could do that we're not now doing to help homeless people.
I don't think, Carrie, have we gotten a report back on that yet? I think we've just gotten a report that she had attended. A lot of us have gone through, the state had contracted with Ryan Dowd's group. He runs the largest homeless shelter in Illinois, and he's been doing a lot of training geared towards librarians. So, a lot of it has to do with body language, being welcoming, how to make sure that, enforcing your rules fairly, and making sure that everyone's sort of secure, not putting the staff at danger, not putting other patrons at danger, and not treating every homeless person as if they are a threat, but to just be more welcoming and to be sort of equitable with our services. But I don't think we've heard anything specific from Ruthie on that, have we yet, Carrie?
No, I think she forwarded to the staff whatever shareable information she had, but she didn't send a report or anything.
Okay.
I was just curious if you've had any problems in the past or if it all goes smoothly. I've been in the St. Louis Central Library, and they have an interesting situation there because they have a large homeless population who comes into the library every day.
Yeah, we have a much we have a smaller but steady population of homeless individuals, and just like every other group, some individuals bring issues with them. Other people are, we never know unless, because of the interactions we've had with them where they told us that they were, homeless at that time. But sometimes there's issues. Usually, I wouldn't say usually, sometimes to do with the underlying, mental health issues, and sometimes in trying to get them the services they need.
Right. I was glad to
And
see that
getting more.
it's good staff development to help boost what
Yeah.
librarians already, I'm sure they're doing many positive diplomatic actions, but I was just curious if there was something new that came out that we could adapt at our library.
Yeah, no, Ryan Dow's been really active the last couple of years. He wrote a really excellent book, The Librarian's Guide to Homelessness, and he does monthly webinars himself, and sends out weekly emails with helpful tips.
Great.
And I must have gone through that. Hey, I just hadn't seen what Ruthie had gone through particularly.
I also have a question. There was a mention on page 10 in the packet about us working with an elementary school, and I'm wondering if the library already has partnerships with each of the schools in University City. I don't know why I never thought of this before, but
it kind of comes and goes. A lot of it dropped off during COVID, but yeah, we've started working with Barbara C. Jordan again. And then, I know that Stephanie and Sue Ann have regular programming things with so the ABC Today with Brittany Woods and Barbara C. Jordan. Stephanie's doing that. They have the African American sort of story. I forgot what that's called.
The read-in.
The read-in, yeah. So we always participate in that. And then we also work with Our Lady of Lourdes and Christ the King. Though I think on some of that, we haven't quite picked it up to where it was before the pandemic.
The library's also provided all of the public school students with an electronic library card, enabling them to access all of the digital materials available through the library.
And then if the child can come in with parents, we just get them the regular library card too. So quite a few people have both.
I'm glad to see it. I think it's a great way to find your future patrons, is to connect with them when they're very small in school or elsewhere.
Well, in the past, I think, like Patrick mentioned, this hasn't really happened since COVID, but it was usually Larita that would come in at the end of the year, sort of promoting the summer reading program and talk to all the students in the schools. We would also have library representatives at events like our Passport Festival. Somebody always came to that. So there's been a lot of interaction over the years.
And the back to school event that the police and school district work on, we're always at that. And then we were all at the Halloween, the trunk or treat and the pumpkin carving. So yeah, so a lot of that.
Great. Thank you to all who participate in that.
You want to move on and tell us a little bit about your thousands of emails back and forth with the auditor?
Oh, sure. So are we okay with the consent agenda then?
Yes. Well, any more
To
questions?
approve the consent agenda?
Usually we do, yeah.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second, please. Somebody needs to say, I second it.
I second it.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Mark Barnes. I see he's listed, but I don't hear him.
He seemed to indicate assent.
Okay, thank you. Kim Dietzler,
Aye.
Aaron Ginsberg,
Aye.
Gerald Lander,
I,
Helen's sick, Kathleen Simpson,
Aye.
and Cindy Zerwas, aye.
I think Mark Barnes is muted.
you have now you're not.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, very
Yes, you're on now. Okay,
Thank
now we'll move on to Patrick's interaction with the auditor.
Yes, so I think there's been about 80 emails going back and forth from the auditor to me, to Keith, and back to the auditor. Keith Slusser is the auditor, Keith Cole at the finance department. Even though the city is not, we're not part of the city's audit, Keith at the city ended up doing the yeoman's share of the work because all of our records are there. And it was just a sort of a nonstop flurry of emails. And then late yesterday, Keith Slusser said, I believe I've got enough, and we hope to have a draft by the end of the week. So we seem to be doing well. We'll see what he has to say. I appreciate everyone who sent back the answers to his email. If you haven't sent it and you have any concerns, go ahead. He indicated that a lack of answer from a board member he usually takes is a lack of concern on that particular issue. And he did ask me the same questions, and I said that, you know, I'm not aware of any fraud. We're always concerned about it, and we try to be vigilant for, you know, anything that might, you know, it definitely raise red flags, but anywhere where we might be falling down there. So we hope to have something back from him by the end of the week. He indicated that at the very least he'll have the financial statement that we need by the end of the calendar year, and that we'll have the full audit complete in time for the terms of our certificates of participation.
And it's important, obviously, to have the architects look over all the requests from the contractors, obviously, just to make sure that there's nothing, I wouldn't call it necessarily fraud, but just mistakes.
Sort of unnecessary overruns. No mistakes were discussed. There have been a couple of things where we try to determine who's responsible for something.
Right. Okay, well, we spent a lot of time in the building and grounds on the building project, which is next on the agenda. I guess you want to bring that up for us, or we can.
Yeah, the two big things were the rooftop units were installed on 11/9 and have since been hooked up to the HVAC system. The parking lot was completed in November 22nd and 23rd, so that's in. We're meeting on Friday to discuss one aspect of the sidewalks that sort of doesn't quite match up to the plan. So we'll figure out what we're doing on that, and then hopefully they'll get the concrete poured before it gets too cold. Oh, and then the other big news, I talked to Tony Thompson, who's the supervisor over there, the foreman, and then we met again today, and they assured us that the main panel that we were waiting for, the breakers, will be in. There is one sub panel that will not be in, and they believe they've got an alternative for that, and that the missing components are the fire alarm panel, that they have a workaround for that. Carrie and I, Dallas, will be talking to the fire marshal about the placement of the fire panel to make sure that meets what the fire marshal wants. And then we got a little further on the covering for the gallery walls. We want a fabric covering that sort of heals a little easier since we do monthly shows in the gallery often. We want to be, you know, the fabric we put on there 20 years ago lasted 20 years in good shape. We want something like that up there again. I've listed the change orders that we've signed since the last meeting. The first one was the one that the board approved at the last meeting for $43,000. We had a change order for $8,269 for a piece of curbing and fencing that had somehow gone missing between our parking lot and Delmar Harvard. They'll be getting that. So most of the 8,000 is to do the wrought iron fencing. And then we needed an additional security camera in the one button studio. Somehow that had gotten overlooked. That's $3,133. And a piece of conduit that had corroded that kept what way is that? The east end of the parking lot lit had to be replaced. We've got that. There's a list of change orders that haven't come in yet that we're we're expecting, that we discussed in the Building and Grounds Committee. And that includes, some finishing on the masonry walls. Sorry, wrong sheet. The replacement awning on the back. And then we just got, there'd always been a sort of suspicion that there was a gas leak in the back. But Spire had checked many times and said that there wasn't. And now they told us there was. That pipe got replaced today. It should be under $1,000 to get that one fixed. Speaking of mistakes, there was a double door in the basement that was marked one way on one set of drawings and marked another way on another set of drawings, and it accidentally got demoed because of the markings. The architect and the contractor had worked out between the two of them how they're going to pay for that without charging the library, since the library's position on that didn't change. And we're looking to get some lights on the external stairways in the parking lot. The lights that were there, the conduit had corroded over the years and cannot be easily replaced.
Do we need to make any vote on any of those change orders, or they haven't officially come through yet?
They haven't officially come through. None of them are. I don't know if any of them will be large enough to come before the board, but we'll certainly bring it to the Building and Grounds Committee next month.
Okay, and I guess there was one question about the sunshine law.
Oh, yes, we did receive a sunshine law request, which seems to be related to a lack of communication maybe between two subcontractors. So our understanding is that the attorney representing one of the subcontractors has requested payroll data for one of the other subcontractors. We've been in contact with our attorney, and we sent our initial response. We received some more information. We'll be sending that along as well.
Any other questions about those change orders? Okay. And that's now is we move on to action items. There's a payment request from Ranieri.
Yes, we've got a request for $445,421.48 from Ranieri for work completed last month. Bond has signed off on that. I have not yet completed the certified payroll, so I would ask that if the board were to approve it, they would approve it pending that it be in line with the Missouri prevailing wage law.
I guess we can go ahead if the board would be willing to do that. We certainly can do that with that addendum that it's double checked by them.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the application for payment pending
The
the
payroll.
wage provision being
And
approved.
it meets prevailing wage, which it seems to, they've always done before, and the portion I've done so far does meet prevailing wage.
Okay.
Is there
And
a
the
second?
okay.
Somebody please second it.
Seconded.
Thank you. You call the roll, Cindy?
Sure. Mark Barnes,
Aye.
Kim Dietzler,
Aye.
Aaron Ginsberg,
Aye.
Gerald Lander,
Aye.
Kathleen Simpson,
Aye.
and Cindy Zerwas, aye.
Okay, the next order of business actually is the vote on the resolution, which we did. Do we need to do that again in person since it's been approved? We had enough votes to approve it.
Yeah, it was unanimous by email. We had talked about doing it again at this meeting in person, but I'm fine with it if the board is okay with just having it as it was, or if the board would like to just revisit that in the context of this meeting.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I would like to revisit it just
Okay,
because
sure.
um, somewhere in the meeting minutes, I would just like the board to
Sure.
affirm it once more that we support the freedom to read for our patrons.
Okay, well, we have all seen that. We all got a copy of it when we voted by email on it. We can go ahead and I don't know that we have to read it again, but we can certainly decide to approve that resolution that we approved long distance wise. I guess we need to call the roll again.
All right, Mark Barnes,
Aye.
Kim Dietzler,
Aye.
Aaron Ginsberg,
Aye.
Gerald Lander,
Aye.
Kathleen Simpson,
Aye.
and Cindy Zerwis, aye.
I'd like to thank everybody who was involved in doing that. I know that Mark had a lot of input into that, and we all had a meeting, and it worked out very nicely to have input from so many people, and it was very, very helpful. Thank you all, and I think we all tried to get our friends and neighbors to send in as
There's
well.
both today and tomorrow that we can.
That's right.
I was gonna say, deadline is tomorrow, so if anyone has not yet sent an email, you still have time.
Yeah, we were at the Missouri Public Library Directors meeting last week, I believe. And the state librarian reported, and I zoomed in because I was still COVID. The state librarian reported that she had been told, and she had been told a number, but she had been told that there were tens of thousands of responses.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
We'll see how that goes.
The next item was an invoice from RG Ross, which we're going to pull for the time being.
Yes, table that bond has not approved. We were over there today. Even more of the windows are leaking now, so we're gonna see if we can get that fixed.
And I think you said the same thing for the money market.
The money market can be tabled. We'll get a little more information. I've reached out to Steeple and Gilmore and Bell to see if they have any advice for us on that. Otherwise, I think we'll have to find a financial advisor of sorts.
Well, we can go on to the committee reports then, since I have nothing. Let's see, the Long Range Planning Committee. Anything up to date yet?
I apologize. I think I was supposed to reach out to phones.
Yep, and I have not, I don't have an update. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Personnel and policy.
I have nothing to report. We have not met. But I would like to thank the people who did take the time to write emails to the Secretary of State over this proposed administrative rule.
Thank you. Aaron, the Budget and Finance Committee, anything that we haven't discussed?
Everything that we discussed in the committee meeting has been brought up before the full board, so we're good.
And we had the Building and Grounds Committee, which I think you've heard everything we discussed. Patrick reemphasized everything that we discussed on that. Any old business? Okay, anybody have any new business they'd like to bring up? I guess we're at public comment. How do we do that, Patrick?
We've received no request for public comment or agenda items from this month, and nor has shown up to want to give public comment. Sorry.
In that case, I think we're close to the end of the meeting. Before we adjourn, I wish everybody happy holidays and a healthy, happy new year, and hope nobody, we're all glad that Patrick is back with us after a substantial absence, which we're glad he's back, and I hope he's not working too hard, because we don't want him to have long COVID. Maybe long COVID he's had, but no longer than this. So guess we need
just a long nap.
okay, we need, I guess, a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And anybody seconds?
Second.
Okay, well, we'll stand adjourned then. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.